What is going on, guys? Welcome to Party on Broad. Our NFL draft coverage continues. This is take two. If you were here watching us live last Friday, we had some technical issues, had to stop shop and redo it. But joining me as always, he is Ryan Reese of Philly Sports Alliance. What's up, Ryan?
Not much. I was ready for round two here, and we were just talking because we got some storms in the area. If this doesn't happen again, I think the college football gods are not favoring the Big 12 this year.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. It's pretty top heavy, pretty top heavy conference this year. Let's jump right in, guys. If you're watching us live, comment your thoughts on these guys. Again, we are breaking down the top 10 prospects in the Big 12 for the 2024 NFL Draft. Leading off, no surprise here, it is Quinn Ewers, quarterback out of Texas. Let me get his scouting report up right there. One of the biggest, highest rated quarterback recruits of all time, man. Kind of had an up and down season back in 2022. Great arm talent, big time throws, made some incredible flashes. It's his decision-making accuracy, which definitely needs to improve in 2023. It helps that he's got an amazing weapon core on the outside and at the slot position. We'll be getting to that very soon. But this guy is a natural talent, ready to take the leap. As you can tell, our top 10 previously here, there's a lot of Texas on there, a lot of playmakers. I think if this guy can rein it in, again, he is right up there with Caleb Williams and Drake May at the top of the quarterback class. What are your thoughts on Quinn Ewers?
Yeah, he definitely came out last year and really showed how talented he is. He clearly has the arm strength, clearly can make all types of throws. I think just the knock on him is, as you said, is kind of his decision making, and that kind of leads to some accuracy questions, mostly down the field. I believe he was 15 of 44 on passes 20 yards or more last season. So that obviously has to improve, and with some of the weapons that we will be talking about shortly, improving as well. I think that should certainly help in another year in the system here. But yeah, he's absolutely, just a step below,
Yep.
Williams and May. And yeah, I really, as I said on the first go round here, I really do enjoy college football when Texas is kind of in it and they are, top 25 kind of fighting, for top 10. So I'm excited to kind of see yours and some of the other players that we're going to be talking about here. But yeah, he just really needs to improve the deep ball accuracy, and it's a weird situation that Ewers is in though, because as five-star stud quarterback pedigree Arch Manning sitting waiting in the wings. If he should falter, if has a couple of bad games, who knows if they'll pull that trigger and start the Manning, run at Texas. So there's probably a lot of pressure on him, knowing that this kid is here and ready to kind of take his spot. So I'm looking for him to keep his job though, full season, and really kind of supplant himself as a potential first round pick for a quarterback needy NFL team.
Absolutely. And let's talk about his right-hand man, and that is Xavier Worthy, coming in number 2 in our Big 12 rankings. It was kind of a down year for Xavier Worthy last year. He had a 70.1 PFF receiving grade last year. That was 10 points lower than he posted back in 2021. He saw 10 more targets in 2022, but 224 fewer receiving yards, 4 fewer touchdowns. A lot of that was because many of his targets were not as downfield as they were in the past. I think this guy is a much bigger playmaker than we saw last year. He averaged 13.4 yards per reception in 2021. So we'll see how Quinn Ewers, a season in with Texas, takes that Texas offense to the next level, especially after the catch, where I think Xavier Worthy is really worthy of being a potential first round selection. Again, as a true freshman in 2021, his 526 yards after the catch was the 10th most of any receiver in the Power Five. And that fell to 41st in 2022 with just 324. So a lot of opportunities for Xavier Worthy to be a big time playmaker this year. What are your thoughts on Xavier Worthy?
Yeah, this guy is clearly a burner, and has not only the speed but the acceleration, and that's exactly what he did in 2021 with yards after the catch. And as you said, he kind of had a little bit of a down year in comparison to his freshman year, but his speed and just honestly his jump ability is really what makes him very unique. And the man can just get in the end zone. 21 touchdowns in 2 years. Clearly, has a nose for the end zone. So, with yours again, another season, and with him with Worthy, and we're gonna talk about another weapon there. I think Texas kind of is at a great point for this upcoming season to really take a huge step, get back in the national spotlight. And I think Worthy and Ewers, that combination is certainly going to be what drives this Texas team. So I definitely think he has should be a first round pick. He again needs to improve a little bit, get a little bit more consistency. He needs to I think it was 59 catches on 113 targets last year, just over 52% catch percentage. That obviously needs to get better. So I think with his explosiveness and with another year in this system at the Longhorns, I think honestly Worthy and Ewers could be quite the combination in college football this upcoming season.
Yep. And then we are sticking with Texas, back to back Texas picks here. Real quick note on the Texas offense. They returned all 5 starters on the offensive line in 2023, man. So that offense is ready. But we're going to the defense here, and we're talking about Barryn Sorrell, an edge rusher here for Texas. Dense, compact at 6'3", 256 pounds. There he is. He is, fresh off a 5.5 sack, 9 tackle for loss 2022 season. Looking to be one of those breakout candidates in 2023 for a huge year. He kind of is shortish when it comes to size, but he's a twitched up athlete. Again, a compact guy at 256. And I think this guy, has a real chance to kind of make some noise. You look at Texas's defense. DeMarvion Overshown is now in the NFL. And this guy is transitioning Jack linebacker in 2023. So he's going to be the guy at that position to make plays. So what are your thoughts on Barryn Sorrell?
Yeah, when you dive into his film and look at some of his highlight plays from last year, what sticks out to me is his motor. He's just relentless and just constantly attacking, and he shows the strength at that point of attack. With and I feel like I say this a lot, but the phrase "violent hands" is used and thrown around with Sorrell quite a bit, and it's 100% true. He's super strong, very forceful, and he has just a fluidness to beating his blocks. But you combine that with the fact that he's constantly moving, constantly hustling. That kind of combo just makes him a very good pass rusher. I think some of the things for him that he needs to work on is he doesn't have that twitch, as they say, and kind of his flexibility, kind of his bend needs to improve. But he also is, when he goes up against kind of tougher offensive linemen, he seems to struggle at times. Doesn't really seem to know what to do after getting stood up. So I just think he's got a lot of raw talent, and he's got a lot of natural ability, And again, that hustle, I think, is what's going to take him to that next level. And another year improving. And honestly, I think he could easily sneak into the first round and be somebody that may take a year to or two to get adjusted, but I think he could honestly be kind of a diamond in the rough type prospect in the NFL.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's roll on to number 4. And I think this is where we lost feed during our show. So fingers crossed we don't get taken down. And we are talking about Cooper Beebe, an interior offensive lineman prospect for Kansas State, man. This guy is really intriguing. 6'3", 320 pounds. One of the plug-and-play prospects in this draft. He's a guy who keeps his center of gravity low. He has an excellent anchor, really solid frame, but also light on his feet. He plays with raw power. Again, you're going to hear this a lot. The arm length thing, I don't really care about it, but I don't know. I guess NFL scouts love to talk about it, but he definitely has short arms. But I think he also has just an elite amount of power that is going to cause a lot of problems in college. He allowed 3 sacks in 2020, but 0 sacks since then and last year. This is a guy with, again, an extremely high floor that I think is going to be a mauler in the ground game from day one in the NFL. I think this guy has day 2 written all over him. What are your thoughts on Cooper Beebe?
Yeah, just kind of looking at the draft from this past year, he definitely could have, if he would have declared, probably would have been up there as far as, one of the top guards. He started out his career at tackle, but his natural position really is guard. So he does have that versatility, that flexibility to kind of play either or. He's a big dude. He is just, honestly, he's just pure power, and everything that he does just looks natural and smooth. It doesn't. There's no kind of there's a lot of fluidity to his movements, and I think he really understands kind of the angles of playing offensive line. He seems to kind of be in the right positions, and he really does dominate. But yeah, I think he probably projects best as a guard in the NFL. Obviously, that's where he's playing right now. But for a team that may need to kind of move him around a little bit, kind of a la like the Eagles, who seem to kind of push people, wherever they need them. I think that'll certainly be a benefit for Beebe coming to the NFL.
I agree. Again, 4 out of 5 off on the offensive side of the football. Sticking with that that mind frame here, I think the Big 12 is all about offense. Not many great defenses in the Big 12, but we're going to talk about a guy that is just absolutely massive that I think is just going to really climb up the draft process. He is Kingsley Suamataia out of BYU. Try saying that, Ryan.
Nope.
That's a mouthful. Suamataia, former 5-star recruit. He is replacing Blake Freeland, which blew up the draft process.
Sure
here. Transferred from Oregon. I think he's arguably one of the best natural right tackle prospects in this draft, in the 2024 draft, which definitely will be attractive to Eagles fans here. This could be a big time target in that first round area. 6'6", 315 pounds. Wide dent frame, stellar athlete, quick acceleration off the line. Needs to improve his footwork and hand usage. And he can get a little off balance at contact, but he's exceedingly powerful. He was dominant at right tackle in 2022, started 12 games, did not allow a single sack last season. Moving to left tackle in 2023, that was obviously held down by the great Blake Freeland, who was awesome, man. That was a blast covering that dude last year. So what are your thoughts on Kingsley Suamataia?
Yes, that guy. He started out his freshman year at Oregon. unfortunately, really didn't get much playing time. Only saw, very sparingly some snaps there, and transferred over to BYU. And honestly, yeah, if it wasn't for Blake Freeland, we'd probably have been talking about him a lot more last year. But yeah, he's switching over from right to left this year now that Blake is gone. But this guy absolutely will not skip a beat with Freeland. He has super long arms that really just kind of allow him to stay in pretty much any battle with pass rush, which certainly is positive there. He has great balance, and he can really handle those really quick edge rushers, it seems like. And I think, with the way that the NFL is, it seems like, it's speed, speed, speed coming off the edge more and more. And I think he could easily translate that to the NFL. So he's got great foot speed and that quickness to really hone in on some of those really quick NFL edge rushers. So, obviously needs to kind of improve is a little bit in the run game, but as far as his pass protection, he is certainly great, excellent hand placement, excellent strength. I think honestly, I think like I said, I think from Freeland to him, there's really not going to be much dip at all, if any.
Yeah, it kind of sucks because BYU is kind of in a transition season. They're definitely projected to be among the bottom of the Big 12. So it's going to be a tough year for them, most likely. Let's roll on to number 6, sticking with the top. This is a rising star in JT Sanders, a tight end for Texas. I think, he's obviously going to have developed chemistry with Ewers over the last few months. He is the guy in the middle there, a guy that thrives in the slot. 6'4", 249 pounds. So he's got solid size. He's got solid length. He's actually also a very good blocker. He's like, there's Brock Bowers in this class. I think this guy is my number 2 tight end. I don't know if you would say he's a tier below him, maybe 2 tiers below him. But I still think he has potential to be, back end of day 1, day 2 kind of prospect. Former 5-star recruit out of high school, mismatch weapon that's too athletic for linebackers and safeties, way too big and physical for corners. Again, a nightmare in the slot. And him and Xavier Worthy and Quinn Ewers and another guy we're going to be talking about just puts the bow in the ribbon on Texas being the dominant offense in the Big 12. What are your thoughts on JT Sanders?
Yeah, this Texas offense is loaded, honestly, and I think we're going to see that rather quickly. And I think Sanders is certainly going to be a beneficiary of this amazing offense that Texas has kind of built. Last year, he had 54 catches, 613 yards, 5 scores. He's just a massive dude. He's 6'4", almost 250. I've seen 240, but you know how that goes. But yeah, his size, his length, absolutely. Like, who's going to cover this guy? Like, linebackers can't stay with him. Corners, safeties are just going to absolutely be dwarfed by this guy. He not only has the size, but he just has the athleticism that you wouldn't expect for somebody this big. So he absolutely is going to dominate the middle of the field, this upcoming season. And you're right. I definitely think he's the second best tight end prospect, but you're right. It's definitely a tier or 2 below Bowers. But that's certainly not, any indication on how good Sanders could be.
Yep.
In this offense with Texas, and the sky's kind of the limit here. I could easily expect them to go nuts on plenty of Big 12 teams, especially as we said, it's mostly a very offensive conference right now. So the defenses aren't that great. We're not talking about LSU, Alabama, Clemson defenses here. So they should be able to eat against these other Big 12 defenses for sure. And Sanders will just own that middle. And there's not too many people that are going to be able to cover him.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about a defensive guy.
Hey,
Not a lot of great defensive guys in the Big 12, at least at the top. But let's quickly talk about Danny Stutzman, a linebacker out of Oklahoma. Oklahoma got carved up on defense last year, over 6 yards per snap on defense in conference play last year, man. They're definitely look to improve that, defense against the run with a guy that is one of the best in the Big 12, and he is Danny Stutzman. He had a breakout season last year, 10.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 picks, 5 pass breakups, 125 tackles, man. Let me get this thing up. There it is. He's 6'3", 230 pounds, very good closing speed, just a nonstop motor. His acceleration is very, very good. He was a first-year starter in a new defensive scheme last year with no depth on defense for Oklahoma last year, and really just always seemed to be in the right spot. This is the heart and soul of the Oklahoma defense this year. He was an Iron Man in 2022. Only 3 players played more defensive snaps than Danny Stutzman's 992 last year. The dude almost played 1,000 snaps.
Yeah,
and of those 3 players, each of those were a defensive back, and none of them played in the Power 5. That's how meaningful this guy is, the captain of that Oklahoma defense. What are your thoughts on Danny Stutzman?
Yeah, listen, anybody who's seen me talk anything about football knows that I absolutely love linebackers. I think they're super underrated, and I'm saddened by the fact that they're kind of being, devalued in the NFL. But, with Stutzman here, I think not only, as you said, can absolutely be out there for every single play. The man absolutely, I mean, that's literally nuts. 1,000 snaps is insanity. I don't think people realize how nuts that is. But you know what I think, not only I think his pass rush ability, he totaled up 17 total pressures, 11 QB hurries, three hits, and 3 sacks during last year. But also I think what's not being talked about a lot is his coverage skills. I think he just kind of has this natural ability, knowing where he needs to be, and also has the speed to kind of get where he needs to be. So I think he absolutely can cover most tight ends. I think would be a great matchup with the gentleman we just talked about at Texas there. But listen, he has really good speed to stay with or chase down receivers while in man coverage. Great footwork, great at shedding blocks. And again, just having that know-how and that natural instinct of kind of just knowing where to be. You can kind of just see he shows those flashes out there. And with his size and his ability to blitz, I think he can kind of do it all, which definitely is understandable why I think he's, going to be a top 5 linebacker in this upcoming NFL draft.
Yeah. I believe I did have him in my top 5. Great. Yeah. Pretty sure he made my top 5. He was in the back end.
It was like everybody from Clemson and then Stutzman.
Pretty much. All right, let's go on and head back to Texas. This guy's really intriguing. I might have been too low on him. I'm not sure, because if he stays healthy, he's due for a huge year. All that's required here is Quinn Ewers to be taking care of the football, and this guy's going to be due for a breakout season. Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver out of Texas. He was the number 1 transfer this offseason, according to The Athletic. Won back-to-back national championships with Georgia. Transferred to Texas this past January. This guy has just a knack for making huge plays on the biggest stages, man. He caught the game-winning touchdown pass in both this year's college football playoff semifinal against OSU and last year's national championship game against Alabama, man. He missed almost all of last season with a high ankle sprain. but managed 9 catches for 134 yards and 3 touchdowns. Almost all of those were in the 2 playoff games and the season opener against Oregon. There's not much sample size to kind of go off, but he has really intriguing measurables. Again, great size, 6'4", 190 pounds, awesome length, very good route runner. He's also a really good blocker, which I think is underrated. So again, having Adonai Mitchell, JT Sanders, Xavier Worthy, and 5 returning starters on the offensive line for Texas, man. Quinn Ewers has a lot of expectations, man. There's no reason to miss a beat this year.
No, absolutely, and that's the thing. When you have a kid like Arch Manning waiting in the wings, and you have everything at your disposal, you better succeed. I mean, this offense has the potential to absolutely go nuts, and Mitchell just kind of flew under the radar in Georgia. When I heard that he transferred over to Texas. Knowing that Worthy was there as well, again, I thought that could be a really nice 1-2 combination. Especially, with, as you said, all of their offensive line coming back. But yeah, Mitchell really is, I feel like he's just, as you said, there's not a lot on him. And it's, there's not a lot to read about him. I feel like he's kind of not being, talked about enough, but he has really strong hands, super ultra competitive, and just has honestly a great timing with his routes. He also has a great ability to beat jam coverage, which I think will absolutely help him out in the next level in the NFL. I think he could easily use that consistently at the next level, but he's great at tracking the ball. He's not a burner. He certainly doesn't have like super speed as some of the other prospects we've certainly talked about, but he's definitely one that you're not going to catch. Once he's beat you, it's pretty much over. But yeah, I definitely like the fact that he's very underrated. He's kind of not talked about a lot. And I think, with Worthy and all the other weapons there at Texas, I think he could easily come out of nowhere and just be the guy. He clearly has the pedigree coming out, was heavily recruited. And yeah, I honestly think he's the one that might come out and surprise you at Texas. Oh, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, got it.
All right, thank God. All right, let's roll on to
a flashback there.
Oh man, I can't do that again. All right, West Virginia is on the dock right now. We're talking about Zach Frazier, interior offensive lineman here. It's going to be a tough year for West Virginia. They're projected to be among the bottom of the Big 12 this year. Defensive concerns all over the board. But center Zach Frazier is a really good one, man. He had one of the best grades of any center in the country last year per Pro Football Focus. His 2022 season grade of 80.8 was his 6th best grade in the NCAA and best in the Big 12. He was, you look at kind of all the main centers that declared for the 2023 NFL draft. This guy is definitely now among the top of the list in 2023. I think Zach Frazier is, you could probably pretty much say that he and the West Virginia offensive line is the strength of WVU. He's that's kind of their bread and butter is running the football. And he's definitely kind of been their most consistent player on the roster over the last 3 years. I think I see this guy as like a guy that could probably be in that day 2, day 3 range with a solid season. What are your thoughts on Zach Frazier?
Yeah, he's definitely up there when it comes to center rankings for sure. And what's great, certainly as a freshman, he played most of his snaps at left guard. Sophomore switched over to center and obviously played there as a junior. I believe he's given up 5 total sacks in his career, which is certainly great, especially considering West Virginia really hasn't been all that great.
Yeah.
So I assume that they probably were dropping back for passing plays quite a bit. So he certainly has pretty decent foot speed. And able to kind of stay with his pass rush. Um, has the strength to compete with some of the bigger defensive tackles. He really has good initial burst. I think what coming off of off the play and the point of attack. So he shows pretty good patience. When in pass protection, obviously only giving up 5 sacks, but he's also pretty athletic. He's pretty aggressive in the run game. Really hits the point of attack, hits his blocker, and really does a great job of moving his blockers out of the way, which certainly helps. With given his strength. But yeah, I think I just think being at West Virginia, might he hasn't really seen quite a lot of competition. And I think that might be the kind of knock on him moving forward into the next next phase in the NFL. Certainly, but just needs to get a little bit more consistent, I think. But yeah, I like him honestly. I think again, as a senior, he's probably coming in as one of the better centers coming up into the NFL draft.
Yeah, I agree. That's Zach Frazier. And to round out our top 10 before we get into an honorable mention, it is Colin Oliver, a linebacker / edge out of Oklahoma State. This is a dude who stepped on the field and was really dominant for Oklahoma State. He's 6'2", 235 pounds. He's you look at Oklahoma State; they really struggled last year, and his production dipped because of it. So he went from a really impressive freshman year to kind of a down year. Now comes a new defensive coordinator in Brian Nardo, a new scheme for the Cowboys, and you're going to see Colin Oliver kind of take a step backwards into a linebacker role, which he played edge last year. He was a linebacker in high school. You're going to see Oklahoma State, do some 4-down fronts. You're going to see Oliver put his hand on the ground at the defensive line, but for the most part, they're going to move him to linebacker and try and take advantage of his first step and ability to really pressure the quarterback. It's also important to note that Colin Oliver dropped nearly 15 pounds this offseason. So could he be a tweener? I wrote that in a scouting report. I don't know. But the NFL kind of loves these guys at this point. Like, this guy's just a fastball. And we'll see how he performs. I think a successful year. I mean, Oklahoma State's right in the middle of the pack, I think, of the Big 12 this year. They're right there. They only have 2 returning starters on that defense. Again, they're transitioning to a 3-3-5, which might take some time. It could be a transition year. But I think, for Oklahoma State to have a successful year, Colin Oliver is at the top of the list to make sure that happens. What are your thoughts on this guy?
Yeah, you said it best. Dude absolutely is a burner. And, as I talked about earlier, the NFL is certainly moving towards the quicker edge rushers. And as him kind of, that tweener, whether, you obviously dropped that, some LBs so he could probably be more of a full-time linebacker. But he's certainly someone that can kind of play all over, just given his definite unique skill set as an edge rusher. So, I think he's got a fluidity to him. He's got great pursuit. And again, combine that with his speed, his recovery skills certainly helps him. And I think he's certainly going to be something that NFL teams covet in the next, in the NFL. So, he's, I feel like his angles that he takes also seems to be pretty sharp. I just think he doesn't necessarily do anything that elite. He kind of seems to do a lot very well. He just doesn't really have that one thing outside of his speed. So I think developing more as a pass rusher will certainly help him in the next level. Um, yeah, listen, I just think a little consistency, would do him very good because he definitely shows flashes, and he has the speed to kind of make those plays. So, yeah, I'd like to kind of see. Interesting to see kind of how his season goes for this upcoming season.
I agree. All right. So that is our top 10 in the Big 12 conference. Quinn Ewers at the top. Next up, Xavier Worthy, Baron Sorrell, edge rusher out of Texas again. Back to back to back Texas. 5 Texas players on this list. A lot of offense, as expected. Cooper Beebe, interior offensive lineman, one of the best in the draft period. Very, very good prospect. Kingsley Suamadiia, a tackle prospect. That is really, really exciting. Definitely want to check that guy out, guys. JT Sanders is a rising star, tight end, due for a huge season. Danny Stutzman, linebacker, just Iron Man, always in the right spot. Linebacker for Oklahoma. Adonai Mitchell, a wide receiver that needs to stay on the football field, but has really good measurables that probably will blow up the draft process next January, February, March. Zach Frazier is a center prospect, one of the best in the class. And then Colin Oliver, kind of a jack of all trades kind of dude that can give you a little bit of something, but nothing elite. And this is my favorite part of the show, where we kind of talk about some honorable mentions. The guy that I want to talk about is a guy that's transferring from Florida State to Kansas State, and he's trying to replace Deuce Vaughn, who, if you we're in the NFC East here, you hear a lot of Cowboys fans geeking out about Deuce Vaughn, but this guy's pretty good. Treshaun Ward, 5'10", 194 pounds, one of the biggest transfers this offseason. The Wildcats and Deuce Vaughn were sensational together. And now, Treshaun Ward has some big shoes to fill. And they have one of the top ground games in the country. They did it last year. I think they're bound to do it again this year. They've got a really interesting quarterback on the rise there as well. His name is Will Howard. He has a really good chance to be one of the breakout stars in college football. Really good blend of just elusiveness, some power. He's definitely due for a breakout season. He averaged 0.5 yards per carry last year, and is also a very good receiver. So Treshaun Ward, in a very, very deep running back class in 2024, could kind of push himself up the draft boards with a solid season. Do you have an honorable mention, man?
I do, and it's funny. Normally, I looked for my linebackers, but I actually went with another running back, actually.
Okay.
And I went with someone in the same state as you did. I went with running back out of Kansas, Devin Neal. I really just randomly one day kind of caught a highlight tape of him and kind of dove in a little bit more into him. In 2021 as a freshman, ran for 700 yards, 8 touchdowns. Wasn't really that big of a receiver. 7 receptions, 57 yards. But in 2022, ran for over 1,000, 9 touchdowns. His receiving game improved, 19 receptions, 160. He is a great pass catcher. I just feel like they weren't necessarily using him that much in that way. But he's, great at kind of those swing plays and just bolting up the field. Great in the screen game. So, plus he also is just super athletic, quick feet, and a really good, power when it comes to hitting holes and getting into those open running lanes. So, I just think he has kind of a nice blend of great running ability, great pass catching ability. Certainly his blocking needs to improve. And he's also not necessarily the fastest, but certainly, just kind of needs to get a little bit more consistent. Would love it if they used him a little bit more in the passing game, because that really is his super strength there, is in the passing game. So, I'm kind of excited to kind of see what his junior year looks like. Devin Neal out of Kansas is my honorable mention.
Kansas is kind of like the dark horse of the Big 12 this year. They're definitely making big improvements.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially on offense. Again, the Big 12.
Right, yeah. It's really only offense. Nobody's playing a lick of defense, honestly.
All right. So that wraps up our top 10 in the Big 12 again, guys, if you're watching us now, we've covered the SEC, the ACC, the Big 10. This is the Big 12. So we only have one more in the Power 5, and that is the Pac-12, led by my man, Caleb Williams. I
think
final thought. You think he'll be number one? I'm not sure.
I don't know. We'll have to debate it.
Any final thoughts on the Big 12? Anything in plugs, man?
Yeah, no, honestly, as I've said a few times, man, I'm excited. I'm not even necessarily a Texas fan. It's just something about Texas. I just really enjoy it when they're in it and they're competitive in the national spotlight. And I think
what it is? I think of the Texas USC. Like I think of like Quinn Ewers of Texas versus Caleb Williams of USC.
Right. I mean,
Vince Young and what was that guy? Matt Leinart or something.
Reggie Bush, and absolutely, definitely. Maybe that's what it was. Kind of harkens back to early 2000s, but. Yeah, I mean, it absolutely love seeing Texas being relevant. And their offense is really going to be disgusting. Honestly, they have so many weapons. They have a lot of veterans on there. And I'm just kind of excited to kind of see how they do. As we said, it's a very offensive conference this year. Not too much defense is going to be played. So, maybe hit that over on some of those betting lines. So outside of Big 12, you can follow me right here at Philly Sports PSA on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, follow, put on those automatic notifications on Facebook. That way, whenever we go live, you get the automatic notification. And not only do you get all of the Philly Sports Alliance, but you get all of this guy and everyone over at Edge of Philly Sports as well, as we cross-promote on Facebook as well. So, and who knows, maybe I'll show up randomly in some of those shows too. But and last but not least, if you seriously aren't following him, if you seriously aren't following Edge of Philly Sports, I don't know what you're doing. There's so much content. It doesn't matter what sport you're into. There's something for everybody. It's great, and it's so many great guys. Honestly, I've had a blast just even being a small part of it. So make sure you follow him and Edge of Philly Sports for sure.
Thanks, bro. That means truly everything, man. Gosh, what are we talking about tomorrow? We have roundtable. That entire like 2 minutes there, I was like, God, think of something. We have Birds of the Roundtable tomorrow night at 8, breaking down the latest around the Philadelphia Eagles offseason, as always. And then Party on Broad this Wednesday. I'm sure we'll be talking Sixers, because I know the deadline's coming up for James Harden. So there's been some Tobias news as well. So I'm sure we'll be talking about that. If you love yourself some player development for the Sixers, they signed some newbies to 2-way contracts. I covered all 3 of them in individual videos.
Great videos.
Thanks, man. They're always fun. I'm just really gearing up for Summer League, because this is like my favorite time of year. Like I love the Sixers Summer League, because most notably because it's like 2-3 weeks, and then training camp starts.
Yeah,
and you know what I mean? Like it's awesome. So like for me, like Summer League is kind of the start of like football season as well. Like it's like the last push. Last waiting period until the Eagles season starts. Man, I can't wait for that.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
yeah, that basically wraps it up. I'm getting a little itchy about these Flyers, man. I might be.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Oh
man, we
no.
got a lot going on right now. I mean, like I said, summer league's almost here, training camp's almost here. Flyers, there's a lot of trade rumors going on right now. They seem to be putting things in the right direction. So, yeah, listen, I'm happy if Phillies came back, although it was more of the Mets kind of helping us out there. But listen, it's a great time as always to be a Philly sports fan. And just, again, we got to enjoy it what we can, look at it positively, and kind of keep on moving, But
All right.
I
Well,
will say actually one thing before we go, if anybody is going to be in Sea Isle this
yeah.
this Wednesday, let me know. We'll grab a drink. I'm going to be down there for Kelsey's event. Jason Kelsey, Travis Kelsey, Lane Johnson, Fletcher Cox, Connor Barwin. There's going to be a whole bunch of Eagles down in Sea Isle. They're going to be doing their podcast. It's going to be really fun. So I'm going to be down there hanging out. And if you're down there, hit me up. We'll grab a drink and talk some birds. So
it's awesome, man. I'm jealous. I'll be working. All right. Again, that is Ryan Reese. Go check out Philly Sports Alliance wherever you get your podcasts. I am Dad, Mr. Crockpot. We'll see you tomorrow night if you're watching this live. Monday night, 8 p.m. East Coast time, breaking down the latest on the Philadelphia Eagles. For Ryan, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.
go birds.